in the zone with that 3D dream. Civil engineering coming clean with the scheme. Visualization going, it's a transport scene. Sketchup data perfect, pixel sharp like a beam. From design surfaces, we elevate the grind. Efficient workflows, never lagging behind. East Coast vibes got the soul intertwined. Building infrastructure, lead the struggle blind.
Hello yet again, and welcome back to Civil Visualizing with Sam. This is episode 9, and in this episode I'm going to take this base model found in the Sketchup warehouse, and I'm going to show you how to bring it into Civil Engine and visualize it. And this one's going to be special because I just found a way to import objects with much better results from Sketchup into Civil Engine, and so I want to recommend this as part of your own workflow, especially if you're having issues or if you're working with large files out of SketchUp. So we have this base model, again, found in the SketchUp warehouse. I will link to the creator in the video description. But I'm going to first show you what happens if you use the standard OBJ export, and then show you an alternative. And again, the menu is dropping down on my second screen, but I'm going to export 3D model. And I'm going to call this, default name is fine. And then options, we want to use these settings, export texture maps, swap YZ centimeters. That's fine. Export. All right, so it is 9:48. I'm just marking the time because I want to see how long it takes to export this. All right, so it's 9:52. So that took 4 minutes to export from SketchUp, and we've got over 1 million different faces. All right, now we need to bring that into Civil Engine. Again, this is the default method, not the method that I'm going to show you, which is preferred. So we want to import base model. We're going to find our file right here. We want to make sure it's set to centimeters and do finish import. Again, I'll check the time. It's 9:53, and we'll see what time it is when it finishes import. All right, so now it's 9:55, probably almost 9:56. So it's 2 to 3 minutes to import this in. And we knew our trees were going to come in this way. That's fine. We can turn them off. The problem is, you can see we've got all of these flipped faces. And even when we go to the paint tool in texture, and to access this, you do need to save the file. So let's save the file real quick. All right, so when we save the file, you can see here, if we wanted to get rid of the trees, a quick way is you can just turn them transparent, not preferred, but very quick. But then if I go to texture these, you can see we're having all sorts of issues. If we wanted to do asphalt, it would do the black parts asphalt, but then what about this white stuff? It's blended in with the grass. So we've got so many issues with missing faces and flipped faces and things that are incorrect. All right, so this is the standard method that we've been using and we've been preaching. Sometimes it works, especially for simpler, less complex models, but a lot of times you're gonna have issues. So this is why I'm excited to show this new method. So let's quit Civil Engine and we'll go back into SketchUp and we'll export using the other system. All right, so we have this exact same file as before, but this time we want to go to extensions. Again, this is showing up in my other screen, but it's called SimLab OBJ Exporter, and I will link to this in the video as well. So now we want to do the same thing, OBJ wavefront, but we are going to call this alternative 2, and it's going to do the exact same thing as before, but now you'll see where it took 4 minutes before. Let's see how long it takes this time. And we want to, I think you want to do combine by material. So let's do that. So you can see here down in the bottom right, we've got this exporting model loading screen going on. It's 9:58. We'll see how long this takes. All right, so it's still 9:58. So less than a minute, probably about 30 seconds, we've got our OBJ. So 5 to 10 times faster. So now we have Civil Engine open again. We want to do import base model. We want to select this new one. Let's start, I believe it's meters by default, and we want to do finish import. It is 9:59. All right, so it is now 10 a.m., so less than a minute again, we've got our model. So let's inspect and see what we've got. So again, this is the exact same model, and you can see now there are 0 issues. So this was so much better using this exporter. Credit to Marvin Klassen of Klassen Graphics for giving us a shout out on this. And this is definitely going to be the method that we're going to recommend, especially for large and complex files for getting into Civil Engine. So that's how you use this system. I'm going to continue on because this is a Civil Visualizing with Sam, and we're going to go the full distance as far as finishing the full visualization of this project. To turn off the trees, we could do the paint and just do transparent, but that's not really turning them off. That's just turning them transparent. They're still there and they'll get in the way. So what we want to do is we want to find them. And again, we got to save our file. Now everything shows up. So if we want to find which surface it is, we can use this picker tool, and you see it says new treed 256. So let's go to our hierarchy and let's find that name. And you can see down here we found new treed 256. So now we could either turn it off. I'm just going to delete it because we definitely don't want those trees. All right, so now we can use the new paint system. We want to go to texture and we want to select our textures, and this should go pretty quickly. As far as texturing the surfaces, I just selected asphalt cracked light. All right, so now I want to get some grass. Okay, and one thing with this exporter is you can see the UVs are all messed up here, but when we paint them, it's just a really good system workflow with Civil Engine, because when I paint it with this brick texture, we're gonna have no issues with the UV mapping. You can see there. All right, and you can see here as well with this bike path, we've got a lot of UV issues as well, but we want to make that reddish. So we have asphalt cracked light, but then tint, we want to make that red. And then once we get it the color that we want, then we can click it. And not only is it going to fix the UVs, but it's also going to do that red texture. As you can see there, I don't love that, so let's make it lighter. And if you're ever done texturing, you can just right click to get out of this dialog box. So there's a few other things that I need to texture, so I'm going to do those and then I'll jump back in. All right, so we're just maybe 6 or 7 minutes into this thing, and already things are coming along very quickly. So now what we want to do is add some trees. We have our area system, which is highly recommended, and we want to go to vegetation. Let's use these pine trees.
3D models flex and bringing vision to life. Data-driven stories, precision in the sights. After hours grinding, creating new heights. Got the team instinct, no flaws in the flow. Every blueprint solid, watching progress grow. Beneath the skyline, making dreams in the glow. Construction meets sport, let the whole block know. Yeah. Maps overlay, we outlining the lines. Transposition smooth where the innovation shines. Data to design, make it seamless and refined. Digital renderings in the pixels we find. 3D CAD magic with every shift and turn. Geometry flows like the lessons we learn. Collaborative spirit, watch the ideas burn. In the heart of the city, feel the passion and turn.
Tracks for the ride, every angle calculated. Precision as I got. Turn around to the sky, we're reaching wide. My heads held high, let the vision collide.
Switch your lanes on the map, watch the traffic flow. With every click and drag, we make the future glow. Sketch it up, shape it right, let the innovation show. In this game of design, we the stars of the show.
All right, so now I'm about 22 minutes in. You can see I've placed the trees. That went pretty quickly because I used the area system. And I also supplemented in the distance. We could have had more surfaces in SketchUp. We didn't have all this terrain in the distance. What I did is I just went to dynamic assets. I found a slab. I made it the same grass texture as the one that we have. And then I placed trees on top of it. when you do that, by default, the trees are going to try and snap to something. And since there's nothing there as far as a base model, it's just floating. So you need to go to those areas, and then you need to turn off surface snapping. And that way they're going to come down, and we can bring the level of our area down to make sure that they all come the way that they're supposed to. And then by default, let's make sure we lock all these just so that we don't have the selector icons. And I also have the path and area visualizers on, and we want to just go ahead and turn those off now. And if you get this many trees, we have thousands of trees in our model. If you get this many trees, you may want to turn them off while you're working, and you can do that by just putting them all in a folder and turning off that folder. So right now, let's make sure we get all these organized into that folder and then get that locked. And so if we wanted to work with this faster without dropping our frame rate, we can just shut that off. And that's all the areas, trees, but we also have some path and manually placed assets. So for now, I'm going to leave them on. I just kind of want to get a sense for how this is looking. And you can tell this is looking super cool. Again, we don't have any issues with our base model because of this new exporting system. And driving through your project is fun at any point. You can do that at the end when you've got more assets and other vehicles, but we just want to take a little spin just to see how things are looking. Again, things are looking really nice already, only about 25 minutes in. And if we want to try that again with a better frame rate, we'll just shut off those trees and try driving again. And you can see things are just so much faster without thousands of trees trying to be drawn in the distance. All right, so almost 30 minutes in. I need to take a break, but I'm just kind of time stamping that so that when I continue, we can keep track of the total minutes spent on this project. All right, so I'm back and I'm going to continue working through this project. The next big task is to place traffic paths, especially vehicles, but probably some cyclists and pedestrians as well. So again, there's so many trees that it's starting to slow down the frame rate. So what I'm going to do is just turn off this areas, trees, like that. And now we're moving around a lot more quickly. Again, so if you're in the editor, if you're working on a scene in Civil Engine and you're not worried about rendering or showing off to clients or anything, you just shut off trees so things will move along faster. So I'm going to turn on my path visualizer to make this a little easier. And this is not going to be perfect, but I do need to place these traffic paths, so I'll go ahead and do that now. All right, I'm back about 30 minutes later. So we're just a little over an hour into this project. I placed the vehicle paths. I also placed some shared use paths. This is one of the path presets you can use that will combine joggers, scooter riders, and cyclists all into one path, which is very efficient. Another thing I did was I placed wear paths for some of these because it didn't make sense to have vehicles, but I wanted the wear path look consistently. You can see the cars are all driving through each other. That's our next step, is to do intersection controllers. I did place some grass in some of these kind of pork chop island looking things just to give a little bit more detail for this intersection, which is going to kind of be the highlight of our project. And I placed some parked cars over here using the parked car path preset. So we're making good progress. We do need to do the intersection controllers at this point. So we're going to go to intersection controllers. As a reminder, advanced traffic is in beta, but intersection controllers are fairly solid. All right, so let's do up to 4 phases for now. Let's keep them all 20 seconds. This is going to be some trial and error. And I need to make sure that we put all of the traffic paths that are associated with this and the pedestrian paths as well. So let's start adding those in. All right, so I believe these are all the traffic paths. We can remove them if I added too many. And as a reminder to just save often, so that if you do experience some sort of crash, that you'll be able to recover. All right, so, and I do have the path visualizers on to make this a little bit easier. We need to make sure we have the stop bar visualizers for this next step. And now it's just a matter of finding those pink stop bars. So if you scrub through, they should kind of pop off the screen. That's the goal. I'll also turn off the traffic just to make this less distracting. There we go. And so we need to set all the stop bars, and then we can decide which paths are going to go to which phase. All right, so I have them all set. I have the 4 phases. I've also assigned the PED shared use paths with them. I'm going to now turn the traffic back on, and I'm going to turn the path visualizers off. And then I'm going to speed up our simulation speed so that we can see how this is looking. So go to 10x. Again, we're looking for any sort of conflicts as far as vehicles driving through each other, or pedestrians driving through, or vehicles driving through pedestrians, and so on. So far, this is looking pretty good. So you can see 3 and 4 are those left turns. And we may need to turn down our shared use pedestrians. It just kind of looks a little funny. We don't need a ton of them. Also, let's see what's going on here. So these are supposed to go along with phase 1, and they're not doing anything. All right, it might be that our all red and our yellow durations are too long. So let's change those, and let's make sure there's enough time for them to get across. So let's make that 30 seconds and reset. And then also I'm going to go to traffic, my folder. I'm going to find those shared use paths, and I'm going to turn down the traffic volume. And then I'm going to reset and start again, keeping it at that 10x simulation speed. All right, so we have a conflict here. I think what I need to do is have this frontage road go phase 3. I think that will work best. All right, so our traffic volume is really high, so we need to get that under control as well, in addition to our pets. So I'm going to work on that. All right, so I think things are looking good. I did notice a minor bug. I believe there's a link between the simulation speed and the traffic volume. So by default it's 5, but if you turn that up, then it's going to turn up your traffic volume up all the way. So just note that when you're testing with the simulation speed, you may get those backups for that reason. So we just need to reset and make sure it's at 1x and let that run for a little bit, and we should have good results. All right, so let's turn our trees back on and get an idea of how things are looking in here. All right, so this is looking so nice. I mean, from a distance and up close, both of those things, this is just looking really nice, and we're making good progress here as well. So things are looking really nice. Again, we've got our frontage road that's backing up. That's fine. Once everything comes along the path, we'll get a better idea if things are running as smoothly as we want them to be. Another thing we can always do is hop down and navigate around with our guy. Using first person, you can always just click F1 on the keyboard, and you can see here the grass is probably a little long if you were going to do a lot of pedestrian views, but it looks nice from higher up. So frame rate's going to drop when you're doing first person view, especially because I have all these trees on, but this is a really cool way to kind of investigate your model. We got our cars coming towards us. I don't know if that's ideal. You can see here the grass is draping on signs. That's something you need to watch out for as well. We can fix that. But for the most part, things have been looking really nice around here. All right, so this is looking really cool. Now I want to set up our cameras. So we can go to publisher mode and go to video, new, and we're going to use this really cool eased camera interpolation. So this is going to allow us to highlight a few different parts of this project that is a fairly big project. Right, that truck is running through the other truck, something that we could tweak. So we're going to go ahead and add keyframe. And then I want to add another one pretty close to the first. Now I'm going to add one showing this parking lot. And then we're going to scoot all the way over here. We've got a roundabout on this project, or a traffic circle. And then we're going to zoom over and show that this is all connected to this freeway. All right, so it's 10 seconds by default. We want this to be longer. So let's go to 50 and see. We want to hold keyframes. So let's see what that's looking like. All right, so it's good, except it's a little slow. And I don't think we need these duplicate keyframes for some of these.
We in the zone with that 3D dream. Civil engineering coming clean with the scheme. Visualization moving, it's a transport scene. Sketchup data perfect, pixel sharp like a beam. From design surfaces, we elevate the grind. Efficient workflows never lagging behind. East Coast vibes got the soul intertwined. Building infrastructure, lead the struggle line.
All right, so I made a few tweaks. I added some more parked cars in these lanes just because I'm not using them for actual traffic. So we're going to need to make sure when we get our render that it doesn't look like they're just stalled there. That's just going to be part of the phasing that we catch. You could add more traffic paths and set up more intersection controllers, but this just isn't the way I'm going to move forward with this. I'm also going to reset my traffic. And one thing I want to do too is just as a reminder, we have scene effects. I just kind of want to look what those look like. This one's a little too much, but you could do some sort of thing like this, which is cool. Let's see what the other ones are. Ballpoint pen.
Design, make it seamless and refined. Digital renderings and the pixels we find. 3D CAD magic with every shift and turn. Geometry flows like the lessons we learn.
All right, so all in all, that took about an hour and a half to get these sorts of results. Civil Engine just keeps getting better. This new SketchUp plugin from SimLabs is something I would definitely check out. That seems to be a valuable addition, especially for more complex projects when you're trying to export them out. We've also heard from a customer that used a similar thing from Revit, the Revit export, and that fixed some issues. So check out SimLabs and their plugin. My name is Sam Lyle, and I will talk to you in the next.
Big flow. With every click and drag, we make the future glow. Sketch it up, shape it right, let the innovation show. In this game of design, we the stars of the show.